What if the guardians of your freedom were the architects of your deepest nightmares, slipping poisons into drinks, wiring brains like circuits, and reprogramming minds like faulty machines, all in a desperate bid to outpace an invisible enemy? Imagine a web of secret labs stretching from Montreal's ivy-clad asylums to UCLA's hidden basements where humans and animals alike became pawns in a Cold War game of psychic domination. But as the experiments deepened, whispers grew. Subjects vanishing into comas, animals splattering in failed operations, scientists plunging from high rises. Was it suicide or silencing? This isn't the fever dream of a conspiracy thriller. It's the declassified horror of Project MKUltra, the CIA's sprawling crusade from the 1940s to the 1970s to conquer the human mind. From unwitting citizens dosed with hallucinogens to cyborg cats prowling embassy shadows, MKUltra's 149 subprojects wove a tapestry of terror under the venomous gaze of Sidney Gottlieb, the poisoner-in-chief. As an investigative journalist who's clawed through redacted files, survivor testimonies, and the ghosts of burned documents, I'll drag you through this unified nightmare, a single, pulse-pounding saga where subprojects 3, 68, 94, and the enigmatic experiments of Dr. Harold Abramson collide in a symphony of sadism. But beware, the deeper we go, the more the shadows close in. Buckle up. We're descending into the abyss, where every revelation tightens the noose of paranoia, and one wrong turn could rewrite your reality. It all ignited in the smoldering ruins of World War II, as the Iron Curtain clanged shut like a prison door, trapping the world in suspicion. Whispers slithered into Washington, Soviet brainwashers turning POWs into hollow-eyed traitors, their wills crushed under communist alchemy, drawing from the grotesque Nazi trials at Dachau, where prisoners choked on mescaline and barbiturates, their screams echoing in futile quests for truth serums. The CIA's predecessor, the Office of Strategic Services, OSS, dabbled in truth drugs as early as 1943, testing the edges of sanity in shadowed rooms. But the real terror began in 1950, with Project Bluebird morphing into Artichoke, probing hypnosis, morphine, and even dengue fever to force unwitting assassinations. Under Brigadier General Paul F. Gaynor's iron fist handlers whispered commands into fevered ears. Could a man kill a leader and forget he ever pulled the trigger? Then on April 13, 1953, CIA Director Alan Dulles unleashed the monster, MKUltra, entrusted to Gottlieb, a club-footed folk dancer hiding a sadist's soul, his gadgets dripping with death. Obsessed with Korean War POWs returned as zombies, Gottlieb vowed to shatter minds, extract confessions, and forge programmable killers, a real-life Manchurian candidate lurking in every shadow. The budget ballooned to $10 million to $87 million today, snaking through 80-plus institutions, veiled by fronts like the Society for the Investigation of Human Ecology, SIHE, a sham academic group laundering cash for unspeakable acts. This web ensnared Dr. Harold G. Wolf for Subproject 3, funneling $40,000 yearly through SIHE's Cornell arm to map menticide, the slow erasure of free will via drugs and unrelenting stress. SIHE also bankrolled Dr. Donald Ewan Cameron's Subproject 68 at McGill, injecting $69,000 for psychic driving that promised cures but delivered oblivion. Even the grotesque Subproject 94 wiring beasts for espionage drew from the same poisoned well through the Geschichter Fund. And in the LSD fog, Dr. Harold Abramson, the allergist-turned-alchemist whose Subproject 7 gulped $85,000 to dose patients at Mount Sinai, his needles threading seamlessly with Wolf's interrogations and Cameron's erasures. The heart-stopping truth? MKUltra wasn't isolated strikes. It was a hydra, each head feeding the next, defying Nuremberg's ghosts to birth horrors that still echo. But as the funds flowed, so did the blood and the questions. Who would be next? The shadows lengthened as the secrecy became more suffocating, with few daring to ask what horrors lurked behind the closed doors of these clandestine labs. In the darkness, experiments overlapped and merged, creating a nightmare maze that few ever escaped. Some subjects spoke of waking up with memory gaps, only to find themselves in places they didn't remember going. Others recounted the terrifying sensation of their minds being rewired like a computer, their identities shattered in the process. Animals used in these experiments often became grotesque husks, their bodies collateral damage in the pursuit of power. A few scientists, pushed to the brink, plunged from high balconies, their secrets spilling into the abyss below. Was it accident, or was someone silencing the truth forever? The documents that survived revealed a pattern of disappearances, test subjects vanishing without a trace, their fates sealed in shadowy files. Whispers circulated about survivors who kept quiet, too terrified or broken to speak, their stories buried deep underground. Meanwhile, declassified files surfaced claiming that some experiments had gone disastrously wrong, unleashing chaos that nobody could contain. One shocking case involved a man who was supposedly cured, only to become a mindless puppet, his own memories erased by the twisted science. The scale of the operation was staggering, with deep ties to military, intelligence, and academic institutions working hand in hand. This web of darkness extended beyond UCLA borders, hinting at clandestine collaborations with foreign powers, eager to harness similar horrors. And lurking just beneath the surface was the question: how many lives had been irrevocably destroyed in the name of national security? The truth remained hidden behind layers of redacted pages, each document revealing just enough to keep the nightmare alive. As more evidence emerged, the public's trust in government crumbled, replaced by suspicion and paranoia that still lingers today. Some insiders dared to speak, describing experiments so horrific that they seemed to belong to another universe. Yet every revelation only uncovered more questions. Who authorized these experiments, and why have they been allowed to vanish into silence? The shadows didn't just hide secrets. They seemed to swallow evidence and witnesses alike, leaving only whispers of what once was. To this day, the full extent of MKUltra's horrors remains concealed behind a veil of secrecy that refuses to lift. But the stories of those affected continue to ripple through history, a chilling reminder of humanity's dark fascination with power over the mind. As this saga unfolds, each new revelation pulls us deeper into the abyss, where paranoia becomes our only constant companion. In the end, the question remains: how much of your reality is truly your own, or just a carefully crafted illusion encoded in shadows? Step closer to the edge, and the experiments erupt like a carnival from hell. LSD, the glittering prize. Gottlieb stockpiling enough from Swiss labs to twist millions of minds for $240,000. Its vapors promising power. Or pandemonium. In Subproject 3's grim underbelly, Sing Sing's clanging cells and New York hospital's sterile wards, Wolf's operatives spiked inmates and soldiers with C30, LSD, barbiturates like seconal surging through veins, amphetamines fueling endless grillings. Hypnosis planted seeds of deception. Could a tranced man lie, steal, kill, and wake with no whisper of the deed? Isolation chambers and blinding lights cracked resolve, mapping amnesia for ops where silence was survival. Abramson amplified the dread in his Mount Sinai layers, slipping LSD to migraine seekers, blending it with barbiturates to sculpt Manchurian puppets. Secrets spilling, memories planted, evidence evaporating in a hallucinogenic haze. But as subjects writhed, a chilling link emerged. Abramson's safe houses, precursors to Operation Midnight Climax, where prostitutes lured marks into LSD-spiked traps. Confessions tumbling under strobes and hidden mics. Amnesia claiming 40%. A perfect veil for the agency's vanishing acts. The terror peaked in Subproject 68's sleep room at Montreal's Allen Memorial, where Cameron, SIHE's unwitting executioner, lured desperate souls with promises of healing, only to plunge them into 86-day comas. Thorazine and LSD coursing like venom. ECT blasts 75 times lethal intensity, frying synapses in white-hot fury. Psychic driving assaulted the senses, headphones droning, "You are worthless," up to 500,000 times, curare injections freezing bodies in death-like paralysis, souls regressing to infantile screams. This mirrored Wolf's breakdowns, but Cameron's loops burrowed deeper, feeding CIA manuals on interrogation. Yet as patients emerged blank-eyed, rumors swirled. Were these cures, tests for something worse, a fate worse than death? Animals twisted in the same net under Subproject 94's feral labs, electrodes piercing rat skulls like lightning, zapping bliss or agony to command scurries through mazes of menace. Pigeons veered midair, monkeys wired for lethal drops, yaks and bears lumbered as bomb beasts, brains probed for balance amid Himalayan horrors. The pinnacle of madness? Acoustic Kitty, a $20 million Frankenfeline gutted and rebuilt, mic in ear, battery in belly, tail antenna, prowling DC parks for Soviet secrets, until a taxi's crunch ended the dream in blood and circuits. These critter controls echoed human torments, remote zaps testing what Cameron erased and Abramson suggested, all under Gottlieb's gaze for executive action. assassination without a trace. Overseas camps in Germany and Japan amplified the dread. Suspects convulsing under BZ, 100 times LSD's rage, temperature swinging to extremes. The breath-stealing revelation? These weren't random cruelties. They intertwined through SIHE's arteries, each subproject a vein pulsing toward total domination. But as the carnival spun, bodies began to drop, and the cover-ups crept closer. If this descent into wired dread and psychic voids has your pulse racing like a hunted animal, hold on, the victim's screams are about to hit home. For more spine-tingling revelations, with chilling docs, animated horrors, and insider confessions, smash subscribe on my YouTube channel. We're peeling back layers that could shatter your world. Don't blink now. Each sentence can be long if the input requires it, but must not exceed 30 words. If a sentence is longer, split it into 2 or more natural sentences without altering the content. Peer into the void and the toll emerges, a gallery of ghosts, their fates entangled in MKUltra's web. Subproject 3's shadows hide Subject 17. At Sing Sing, blanking memories after 30 days of LSD hypnosis torment. His cellmate, a stranger in the fog. A Fort Dix soldier lured by a vitamin shot, spiraled into paranoia, discharged as unstable, his life unraveling thread by thread. Families whispered of hollow returns, addictions blooming to drown the mental scars. Abramson's circle claimed echoes like Harold Blower, convulsing to death in mescaline madness at a linked ward, his treatment, a thin veil for probes. But the knife twist? Frank Olson dosed at a 1953 retreat by Gottlieb, his world melting into guilt over bioweapons, rushed to Abramson's NYC lair, disguised as therapy. He muttered confessions under barbiturates, then plummeted from the Statler Hotel's 13th floor. Suicide? Exhumation screamed murder. Head trauma pre-fall. A silencing strike. His kin clawed $750,000, but the wound gapes. Did Abramson's observations seal his doom? Subproject 68's horrors howl louder. Jean Steele, vibrant Montrealer, emerged a scribbling wraith, her soul stripped. Charles Tanny, comatose for 50-plus days, forgot his empire, rage poisoning his family. Hundreds regressed to incontinent infancy, relearning existence amid crumbling homes. Over 300 begged for justice, but gag orders choked their cries. Subproject 94's beasts bled silently, rats bliss-fried into stupors, pigeons plummeting, acoustic kitties taxis splatter a $20 million obituary. Thousands mangled, their agony redacted. Ripples radiated. Abramson's Macy ties dosed Ginsberg and Kesey, igniting Howl and Cuckoo's Nest. The hippie firestorm, a unintended blaze. Whitey Bulger's prison LSD fueled mob fury. Shadows linked Kaczynski's Unabomber rage and Manson's cult delirium to the program's poison. These interconnected specters, from Cameron's erased mothers to Wolf's rigged soldiers, Abramson's fatal care, to Gottlieb's feral flops, aren't echoes. They're warnings. Their fate's a chain binding us all. But as bodies piled, the agency stirred to bury them deeper. The bonfire of secrets, cracks, cover-ups, and lingering whispers. The veil frayed in 1973, Watergate's inferno scorching the CIA, Helms and Gottlieb igniting a bonfire of files, subprojects 3, 68, 94, and Abramson's notes fueling the flames, years of screams reduced to cinders. A fluke spared 20,000 fragments, exploding in 1977's Church Committee. Kennedy's interrogations exposed bar dosing and 30-plus university complicity. Turner confessed the rogue elephant. Abramson testified icily on Olson's improvement, but voids loomed. No lists, no consents. Subproject 94 crumbled in 63, impractical, amid carnage. 67 memos blacked out human extensions. Justice dangled cruelly. 1988's $67,000 for 9 Cameron survivors. 92's $100,000 to 77 more hundreds silenced by NDAs. No chains. Wolf perished 62, Cameron 67. Abramson edited LSD lore till 80 like an untainted sage. Gottlieb retreated to goats, scoffing useless. The puzzle lingers incomplete. 2001 D-Class scatters crumbs. 2019 Tanny suits flicker. 2025's Project Mind Control by John Lyle deems 94 a remarkable catastrophe. SIHE's strands weave the cover-up, dissolving in disgrace. But as redactions mock us, the suspense builds. What truth smolders still? MKUltra's futile, Fruits poisoned the future from counterculture infernos to post-9/11 black sites. Wolf's serums torturing in shadows. Cameron's loops in AI manipulations. 94's wires and neural traps. Abramson's acid and algorithmic whispers. What if classified crypts pulse with evolved horrors, digital tapes, cyborg predators, mind-nudging screens? We're all teetering on the edge, one hidden grant from the void. This labyrinthine terror grips tighter because it's unresolved. The shadows lengthen, daring you to look away. Crave the next pulse-quickening plunge? Subscribe to my YouTube channel for exclusive hunts into the unknown with visuals that'll claw at your sanity. Hit the bell, the abyss calls. What's your darkest hunch? What beast awakens next? Spill below. In this game, silence is surrender.